Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen wa salatu wa salam ashrafil mursaleen Sayyidina wa Mawlana Muhammad al-Mustafa bi madadakum min nazarikum Sayyidi ya Rasul Kareem ya Habib al-Azim. Madad ya Sayyidi ya Sultan al-Awliya min Shaykh Abdul Faiz al-Daghestani, Sultan Shaykh Muhammad Nazim Aoud al-Haqqani, Mawlana Shaykh Hisham Kabbani, Shaykh Adnan Kabbani, Shaykh Muhammad Adil, Abdul Khaliq al-Khujdawani, Sahib Zaman Sayyid Muhammad al-Mahdi alayhi salam, Ruhullah Sayyidina Isa alayhi salam, Saifullah Sayyidina alayhi salam, Thumma Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq, Sayyidina Umar, Sayyidina Uthman, Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam, Imam al-Husayn alayhi salam, Sayyidatina Fatimah alayhi salam, wa sayyiru Sadatina wa Siddiqeen. Al-Fatiha. Shafat ya Rasul Kareem, inshaAllah this blessed month, the holy birth of Sayyidatina Fatimah alayhi salam, 13th and 20th, and Rasul Mubarak Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq as-salam, and Allah granting us the lights to make a full moon. And these are the lights and the love of Sayyidina Muhammad through the family, through companionship, through friendship and love. We pray that Allah grant us the good deeds and the himmah in which to accomplish these lights, be blessed by these lights for ourselves, our family and our communities. These are the times to give food, to give water, to do good deeds and dedicate it to these holy souls, so that Allah dedicate a much higher reward upon ourselves and upon our realities inshaAllah. Fa'auzu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim. Atiullah atiya Rasul ulil amri minkum. And ana abdukul ajis da'ifu miskeen zalim mujahad. And but for the grace of Allah that we're still in existence. Alhamdulillah that the new book 6 Powers of the Heart are out, and please go to Amazon, make a review. Say, oh Shaykh, when I read the book I'll make it. No, you don't have to read the book to make a review, just give it 5 stars, say it's a fantastic book, and encourage people to give it, because what you're going to do, review it and say, no it wasn't good. So please put the reviews out, don't wait till you have the book, doesn't matter you have it, don't have it, send to everybody you know to make a review for the book. So the algorithm and the khidmat, this is everything is a service. The shaykh writes a book not so that he can remember himself what he understood, but for a legacy to leave behind. As-salamu alaykum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is Shaykh Nurjan. Thank you for watching the video that you're watching. InshaAllah if you're happy with the content and happy with these programs, please support the button below, the programs that we have for our orphanage repairs, our water well, Give the Gift of Life, our mobile food vans. We have now 5 vans: Vancouver, Chicago, Los Angeles, Pakistan. There's many programs that reach thousands of people and rescue foods and give those supplies to people in need. Your support is greatly appreciated. Also be so kind as to leave loving comments, and please share the stream, every bit counts. As-salamu alaykum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. What was in his heart and what Allah has deposited of realities, and that their job was to deliver those realities. And we pray that Allah find acceptance in our actions and our love of Sayyidina Muhammad, holy companions and holy Ahlul Bayt and all awliyaullah fi sama wa fil ard, and that to share in their ishq and muhabbat. We talked last night on these 6 powers of the heart. This is not the same as the lataif al-qalb. The lataif is the subtle energy points that open an individual to begin to receive these knowledges and to receive their realities, and the power source for their physicality. But the power and opening of the 6 powers, then these are a grant that Allah to put upon the servant so that they can reach to their covenant and to become a star, in which Prophet described that, follow my companions, any of them, they're like a shining star on a dark night. Means these are lights of guidance through the oppression and the zulm and darkness of the material world. that Allah didn't leave us on this material world just to fall into the hands of shayateen, but to traverse the difficulties of shayateen so that we can reach back to the covenant and reach back to our origin and reality. And that's with the light and the love of Sayyidina Muhammad. And we talked about the haqiqatul juzba, and it's immense that when people begin to read these subjects and meditate and contemplate that how important it is to have a magnetism. And the immense reality of magnets that used to be known, now pretty much unknown, but I'm sure will come back because everything is existing from the haqqaiq of magnetism. Means the reason your electrons and our electrons spin is a magnetism, it's an energy draw, they're drawn to the nucleus. What they understand of love is magnetism. What we understand of gravity is based on the secrets of love and magnetism. They use magnets now for 0-point energy, that they can spin magnets in a way to make a generator that requires no power, doesn't require combustion and gas, and based on the polarity and the movement of these magnets becomes an infinite spin and keeps getting faster, faster, faster. Then they've used magnets because magnets is the summation of what we're talking about magnetism, because it's a block of iron that encompasses these bodies and this understanding and reality. They use magnets to look into the physical body, what they call magnetic resonance imaging, is that they spin this enormously powerful magnet, creates a field through radio waves and different ways they look to and some. So means that everywhere around us is an importance in magnetism and energy. It's not just something, oh we talked and it went on, but those whom their hearts are trying to achieve and trying to open realities before the difficulties of dunya, because everyone's saying now, well it's just a matter of time before something shuts down and internet shuts down or power goes down. So we have to have our own generator, one physical generator but two spiritual generator. That when somebody develops the magnetism within their heart, their energy source is not from dunya, their himmah is not from dunya. If they can create that connection means then they reach to a point of 0-point energy, that they can connect to an energy source that other people can't, that they can connect to an energy source that brings a tremendous amount of energy upon themselves. And by virtue of that energy it keeps us attracted to whom Allah is pleased with. So when we have a strong magnetic force and we're within the gravitational pull, the love of Allah, that then equates itself to the love of Prophet. And then we make our durood and our practices. Why? Because this is now increasing our gravitational field to Prophet. So you see the signs upon the horizon and then they should begin to understand within themselves. So with their ships they draw near to a planet, then they say the planet has a gravitational field to pull a ship into its atmosphere. What is that? If this is on planets, imagine that with insan and the reality of insan, that the most powerful magnetic field upon this earth and haqqaiq and its reality is the soul and presence of Sayyidina Muhammad. Means of all the Prophets, this is the most powerful Prophet of Allah, most powerful magnet upon this earth and upon creation for us who are teaching haqqaiqs. If they don't know the haqqaiqs they should know the most powerful magnetic and juzba character and wujud is the presence of Sayyidina Muhammad. And as a result of these practices, as a result of salawats and all of these acts of love and charity and kindness, what's happening? We're being drawn into the presence of Prophet's magnetic field, just like a ship outside an orbit of a planet or a star. But we are on the physical plane of this earth. When we do these practices, make the durood, make the salawats, the reality of people is being drawn into the presence of Prophet, and that's what's immensely important. That's why Prophet gave to us that, just make one durood, Allah sends my soul 10 times to praise upon you, pray upon you. Meaning what? That I'm going to draw you into my magnetic field, my gravity. When you draw into the field of Prophet you'll be with whom you love. So all of these acts, in any way we try to explain it to people, because if they want to hear scientifically, this is scientifically. If they want to hear ruhani, then the scientists say, well okay, I don't know what you're talking about. Scientifically, well here you go, that you're falling into the atmosphere of a very powerful magnet, and as a result the gravitational pull of Prophet begins to pull you into his atmosphere, and as a result of moving into the atmosphere and the presence of Prophet then you become dressed and you become blessed. So all that we're trying to achieve has to be through the understanding of magnetism. So people, if they don't move into the gravity and the gravitational pull of Prophet, what then they understood? You can't be neutral, shaitan will pull you into a different gravity. Nobody stands there being neutral. The dunya by its nature, Allah put a gravity on dunya to pull you down. Shaitan by his nature is putting every type of magnetic pull on people, come to me, come to this social media, come to this influencer, come in this direction. So it means there are magnets in 6 directions attacking insan, because this is the promise of shaitan in Qur'an, I will attack them from 6 directions. Allah said, attack them except my mukhlas. Why? What made them to have a meme and be called mukhlas is because Allah sanctified their love for Prophet, because their soul is spinning in the orbit of Muhammadun Rasulullah. So then they study planets, right? So we'll go inside to understand this and say, Shaykh, on the outside, what is the outside? The sun. These planets, they don't have an orbit because they're clever. Their orbit is actually based on the power of the sun. The magnetic pull of the sun keeps the earth rotating. Allah provides a track like a ship, fuluk, and they can only rotate on this track, but based on the magnetism of the sun it pulls the earth exactly where Allah wants it. If it didn't give that magnetism, the earth would spin out of the gravitational pull of the sun and our earth would be a ship just spinning in the middle of the universe. Mars is spinning, all the planets are spinning. So what we call our galaxy is based on the sun. The power of this sun keeps these 11 planets moving around it, each wishing to collide, but Allah providing, no, you stay in this orbit. Because they're attracted to this energy, they're pulled by the energy of the Shams. So Allah shows us, If the planets and everything upon the planet is beholden to the sun, it takes its nourishment from the sun, it takes everything from its reality from the sun as a symbol from Allah's eternity, daim. And that's why Shamsun and Qamar is so important. Then within ourselves Allah says, I gave you a sun within you. Because if you're trying to become a master of the universe on how to reach the government of Allah that, Ya Rabbi I want to be a part of your heavenly government, then Allah give to us, why you don't govern yourself? One whom can't govern himself, how he can govern anything else? So the tariqah comes to teach how to govern oneself. And immediately you look to yourself and you have 11 essential organs and they all rely upon your heart. Dunya people when they talk, they think everything relies upon the head. We're going to take your memories, we're going to take your logic, we're going to take who you are from the understanding and put a neural link into your head. But who you are is based on the heart, because this is the seat of the soul and qalb al-mu'min baytullah, and this is the house of Allah which they don't believe in. So the tariqah comes to teach the servant that your heart is your Kaaba, your heart is the Divine, the Presence. Immediately begin to build your sun, power your sun with its real authority, not LED. You don't want an LED running your sun, means anything from shaitan is a fake power. They come and say, oh do this reiki, do this thing, do this drink, do this smoke, do this thing for power. All of it is a fake power. And a fake power, zahuq, and Allah described, when the truth comes and falsehood perishes, but falsehood beyond perishing it crumbles, it is nothing, it's nothing sustainable. Just like their combustion engines, if you run out of gas it's finished. But from Allah is eternity. So they tell you, take everything out of your heart, take everything under your thought in your heart, take it out, and the only thing in the heart is Allah. And Nur Muhammad begin to occupy for the servant who has love for Allah, wishes to accomplish what Allah wants for them. They begin to clean their heart to make it like a Kaaba, and then it's La ilaha illallah and surrounded by the light of Muhammadun Rasulullah. And with all their practices and all their focus, all their tafakkur, all their contemplation, what happened? Allah making their heart to be real. Because you have now the reality that you put your heart for Allah, and your command and your governance and your laws, how you pray, you eat, how you wash and talk and act as Muhammadun Rasulullah. What happens then? Allah sparks the heart. Means these lights and energy begin to enter into the heart, that is now the imitation of your galaxy. That your heart has to be lit, your heart has to be with energies. How am I going to light my heart? Is with their tafakkur and contemplation. With their tafakkur and contemplation, as they're training and training and training, they're going to take the iron in my body and they're going to magnetize it. And if you take an iron rod in science to a very powerful magnet and they keep rubbing it on the magnet, as a result of the iron molecular structure near the presence of magnets and interaction with a magnet, what happens? It magnetizes the iron. And that's what they taught us in science. But that very science is a haqqaiq of our existence. If I sit around plastic people, how am I going to have magnetism? If I sit around nonsense, worthless, no going any place community or people or group, that they're all plastic too. It doesn't seem like any of them become magnets. So if you take the iron and all day long you put it around a tomato and put it on your couch and put it around here, it just stays iron, has no value. But if the iron is continuously rubbing against magnets, keeping into the presence of magnets, that iron will become magnetized. What means is that now it has a juzba and an energy emanating from it. And that's now the haqqaiqs of why they teach muraqabah. Because other people were coming and saying, there's no need for anyone to know muraqabah. If they don't know muraqabah, you're basically saying that everybody should remain just an iron block. And that's no wonder why a whole bunch of angry iron rods and sticks, they just hit each other because there's no value in just a piece of iron. But the one whom takes the iron within all their blood cells, because you're a walking iron rod. You know, in iron and the miracle hadith, I think Surah 57 is one of the miracles of Qur'an on how Allah is describing the atomic structure of iron. And iron in the reality of guidance means everything within us, our guidance and GPS system is based on iron. Where is the frequency, where is our compass, all creatures are based on iron. The birds know what direction to fly, not because they have to invent Google, but Allah put a GPS system within their being. The iron within their body, the energy on the earth tells them what direction they're supposed to move. The fish within the sea, the creatures in the air, creatures on the earth, all of their guidance systems are based on the iron within their body, and iron doesn't even come from the earth, right? Iron is not made on earth because the force that is needed to create one atom of iron, one atom of iron can't be found on earth. So go back to your science classes and say that iron actually comes from the atmosphere. It means tanzila, Allah is sending guidance. You're not born with guidance, it means Allah guides. If Allah doesn't guide, there is no guidance. And as a result of the immense reality of guidance and iron and what Allah gave to us, that same iron is used and weaponized by shaitan. Because the force that's needed to make iron is so extreme that if they apply a force to explode iron, the outgoing energy is so massive, in which they made all their bombs based on that. Because it has and compacts so much power within it from the heavens, and they split it and explode it to make disasters and difficulties upon mankind. And Allah ordered in Qur'an, don't split what we've brought to be whole. Means there's immense haqqaiq in all of these realities. The iron we carry within our body has to be cleaned, has to be washed, has to be purified. Then we understand the master of all realities, Prophet gave to us, shaitan runs through your blood. Means what? He runs through your iron. Why does he run through your blood? To contaminate your iron. If he rusts and damages your iron, you have no GPS system. Means what? You go off course, you don't understand anymore your coordinates. It's the very purity of your blood that gives you your coordinates. That's why what you eat, what you drink, all the energy that you're putting upon your heart, your practice is what? Is fighting shaitan in your blood. So that he's restricted in the movement of your blood. Prophet gave to us that if you're under attack, fast. It's going to burn shaitan in your system. Because why? He's trying to contaminate the blood, the iron within the blood, and to enter into the heart. So the servant who is meditating and contemplating and becoming conscious of juzba is what? He's energizing his iron. with his washing, with his drinking, with his fasting, with his praying, with his zikr, with his salawats, with everything Allah has ordered upon him as fard, and everything that he does from his sunnah and from his ishq and muhabbat. He makes the iron within his body glowing like fire. As a result, the shaitans can't enter into those environments, they burn. They're not interested in burning themselves. And hence Allah grants these servants to become mukhlis, that your love is lit, your heart becomes lit because your system is understood. You know that your orbit is Sayyidina Muhammad. As a result your whole life is circumambulating the reality of that light. That light is illuminating every cell of your body, and if the presence of Prophet is within you, shaitan is outside of you. Because the two they don't hang out, and shaitan's not interested in being burned and incinerated by Prophet. So means this becomes the immensity of this haqqaiq of juzbah, and that can only be attained by muraqabah. So when people say, muraqabah is not needed, well how would you have gotten this juzbah? And as a result, no, they don't have a juzbah. If I don't put my planet in the orbit of Sayyidina Muhammad, by default it will be in the orbit of shaitan. There is no middle orbit, there's no orbit of a shaykh. You can't put a shaykh now on top of this reality. You're not in the orbit of any shaykh, because the shaykhs are in the orbit of Sayyidina Muhammad. So there is nobody can say, I'm neutral, I'm not going to do anything. No, if you're not in the orbit of Sayyidina Muhammad, you're in an orbit with shaitan. And shaitan knows Islam because in Rajab we're going to start reciting Surah Munafiqeen. Surah Munafiqeen in Rajab, why? Because it's the month of light, and Allah is teaching us that at this apex of the reality of light, be scared of the imitated light. Don't think shaitan doesn't fool and he enters in Islam, he's very strong in Islam. But his Islam is devoid of Muhammadun Rasulullah, and Allah describes it. They use their kalimah as a means to distract people from the way of Islam. So this is a very powerful understanding of this power and this sun and this reality of Prophet. As a result they make their muraqabah, they begin to make their connection. The juzbah that Allah begin to open within them is that all of their iron is being cleansed. And if they're continuous in the orbit of their shaykh, the shaykh is in the orbit of his shaykh all the way into the orbit, you're in now their gravitational pull of Sayyidina Muhammad. Because it's hard to jump all the way into the center. So 124,000 ulul am, they're upon the earth to bring people into a gravitational pull. As a result of that gravitational pull, then they should be teaching people that connect to the Master, connect to Sayyidina Muhammad with your durood, with your ishq, with your muhabbat, with your good actions, so that his holy nazar will bring you in. So now outside, inside, now deep inside is your electrons. That your electrons as they spin, they're praying to move closer to the nucleus. And they say, well how does the electron actually skip and move on these orbits closer to the nucleus? They said a lightning and a power emanates from the nucleus, strikes the electron and pulls it forward. So they know in their science. So in our inner wujood, to understand the inner operation of this engine, because we described the planets, we described ourselves, now the inner physiology of ourselves is that as we're making our salawat, doing our practices, every nucleus within my being requires a permission from Sultanan Nasira, in which the authority of that nucleus sends an energy to an electron and zaps it to come forward. And this is what we call Nazar-e-Karam, right? This is the blessed vision of Prophet's nazar, that when we do all these actions, do all this charity, do all these good deeds, do all of these perfected outside realities, is so that that blessed nazar begins to look at us. Every electron within our being will begin to jump forward only by the permission of the Sultan. So Ayatul Kareem from Surat Al-Isra, the Sultanan Nasira that go into the presence of Sultanan Nasira is an inner reality as well. That is, you're journeying to the Rabb and to the authority of power within your existence, that enter through the gate of truth, exit through the gate of truth into the presence of Sultanan Nasira, which is in the very being of our reality. That in the presence of that nucleus and the authorized sultan of that reality must give a permission, the energy comes out, hits and brings the servant closer, closer, closer until they're orbiting so close to that reality that Allah addresses them as mukhlis, and they're sincere. They're sincere with all of their faculties and all of their reality, and as a result shaitan gets burned by that energy. So it means that the muraqabah, the connection, the fruits of this connection with the haqiqat al-juzba then are essential. One can't be achieved without the other, and for somebody to come and say it's not necessary to be achieved, then you're saying then we don't need to be in the orbit of Muhammadun Rasulullah. If we don't, then by virtue of default we're in the orbit of shaitan, because there is no orbit of Allah. This is a fallacy and an egoistic, prideful, boastful thing that shaitan said. When shaitan said that, I only worship Allah means that my only focus is Allah, I don't want to talk to Bani Adam or anything, and he didn't bow down. So boastful, prideful character thinking that they're in the orbit of Allah when they don't even know themselves. And Allah gave us Muhammadun Rasulullah. There are people who out there thinking that they're spinning around La ilaha illallah. What happened then to Muhammadun Rasulullah? And that's impossible, and it's by virtue of its reality it's sinful to think that you've cut out the reality of Muhammadun Rasulullah and that you can contain Allah. And when we described last night that nobody can contain Allah, nobody can take a glimpse from Allah, nobody can take the speech of Allah because that's a qudra and power. And then we described the night before that Allah is ahad, but Allah created wahid as a means for us to achieve. Why? Because the ahad and ahad, but the wahid He created to carry love, and nobody can carry that. Nobody can carry Allah's love. When we talk about power and izzah and might, it's about the wow. That if Allah dress a servant from less than a drop of wahid, of wadud, they'll be lost in everything. It's not something understandable. The power and the might of Allah is His Divinely qudra and love, And the only one whom can carry that reality of love, that everything in its atomic reality is bound by love. We said every electron is only spinning out of love. On the physical plane, the love that families, children, parents understood is they say one drop of 99th, 1/99th of Allah's wadud and oceans of love. And Allah is giving to us, none can carry it, none can carry it except the reality of Muhammadur Rasulullah carries that reality and the qudra of Allah. And Allah described, if I put that speech which they're now giving us to understand as wadud and love, the mountain will be dust. Nothing can stand in the presence of that ishq as it holds up all of creation. And Sayyidina Musa had one of his nation before he was leaving to speak to Allah said, Ya Musa, please ask Allah a question for me, and we go to the short of it. He said, okay, what is your question? To ask Allah I want to be dressed in just a drop of His Divinely love. Nabi Musa went for his dialogue to Allah. At the end of his dialogue he was leaving and Allah asked, is there something that you forgot to ask? Yes, one from my nation is asking to be dressed from a drop of your Divinely love. And Allah says, I'm Allah, don't ask for a drop. That from my majesty is not to give a drop, but that prayer is accepted. By the time Nabi Musa went back to visit the man and tell him that Allah has accepted his du'a, they said he was completely gone. There was no more nothing, no interaction, the person was completely lost in the love of Allah. And we have in tariqas an understanding of people whom are majdub and they went too close into this ocean of love and to be lost in the ocean of love. And it's immense power that everything is bound by love. When the servant draws near to this ocean of love, they feel the love of every single atom and in every single existence and being, and that Allah created all of those creations and creatures and everything from this essence of Divine love. None can contain it but Muhammadun Rasulullah. And Allah then describes, we would not have sent him except that he is a rahman, mercy for creation. We pray that Allah give us a greater and deeper understanding of juzba, of the muraqabah as the only door to juzba, and that Allah grant us a heart in which to contain His Divinely love, and that can only be with good character and ishq and love for His most beloved one, inshaAllah. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifoon wa salaamun al mursaleen walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen bi hurmati Muhammad al-Mustafa wa bi siri Surat al-Fatiha. As-salamu alaykum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is Shaykh Nurjan. Thank you for watching the video that you're watching. InshaAllah, if you're happy with the content and happy with these programs, please support the button below, the programs that we have for our orphanage repairs, our water well, Give the Gift of Life, our mobile food vans. We have now 5 vans: Vancouver, Chicago, Los Angeles, Pakistan. There's many programs that reach thousands of people and rescue foods and give those supplies to people in need. Your support is greatly appreciated. Also, be so kind as to leave loving comments and please share the stream. Every bit counts. As-salamu alaykum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.